When as children we learn about gender, how to identify a man versus a woman, we learn that boys have different anatomy than girls, that girls wear dresses and boys wear suits. As children, we learn that sex, gender, and presentation are the same. The thing is, though, they aren't. If one takes a moment to look around, one will realize that it is far from the case. Let's start simply, then go a little more in depth. Just a little. As mentioned earlier, appearance is a big way that one's gender is identified. It is a commonplace thing for it to be determined that someone is a girl due to wearing dresses, along with long hair and higher-pitched voices. However, how someone presents, how they look, can be much different than their gender identity. There are people with beards that are women. There are also people wearing dresses that are men, and those who are neither gender that can have an appearance that seems to align traditionally with one gender or another. Just like how it isn't obvious that a person is transgender, it isn't obvious what someone's gender is either. Many people state that sex is immutable, that boys will always have a penis and girls will always have a vagina. This definition of man versus woman is failing society in many ways. For one, this completely disregards the existence of intersex people, who can, and may even have, any combination of anatomy traditionally associated with binary gendered society. This can be reason not to assume all people who menstruate or can be pregnant are women, along with the fact that even among the cisgender, not all women menstruate or can get pregnant. Another argument people use is the existence of chromosomes. It is commonly quoted that men have XY chromosomes and women have XX chromosomes. Most people, however, don't even know their chromosomal makeup, and chromosomes, much like secondary sex characteristics, are not a strict binary. People can and do possess such chromosomes as XXY or XYX or any variation, really. There's no way to tell what someone's chromosomes are without a test, and these tests can be quite expensive. Unlike blood type, it's not usually something that can be parsed from a similar test. Someone may possess XY chromosomes but have a women's body type, or vice versa. Though many times a person's gender and sex match up, this is not always the case. Gender is how you feel or identify, and sex is usually boiled down to bodily characteristics, like the presence of certain anatomy. That all being said, sometimes a person's sex and gender don't match up with how they present. That is to say, how they dress and the style they adhere to with clothing, haircut, etc. I feel that a go-to example, though he hasn't, to my knowledge, made any definitive statements one way or another, would be Harry Styles, who has queered his clothing choices fairly often. Another that I personally have jumped to my mind at the concept of appearance not necessarily having to line up with gender is the late and great David Bowie. Often seen as a queer icon, Bowie's androgynous appearance was not diminishing his identity as a man. He came out as gay in 1972, and he later retracted the statement in the 80s, saying it was the biggest mistake he ever made. This seems to leave many a bit confused as to whether Bowie was straight, gay, or bi, or what have you. Regardless, this cis man was queering fashion for decades, and helped many queer youth accept themselves for who they were. I suppose this whole video is really just to say that gender, appearance, and sex can be linked or separate, and it is not always apparent. Be kind, don't judge, respect people for who they are, even if they're still discovering themselves. If you have any subjects about mental health or LGBTQIA+ topics that you'd like to see covered, please let me know down in the comments. As always, resources are listed down in the description below. Thanks for watching the OCD Enby. Stay safe out there.